Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Simply Rangaraj. My name is Kritika. So today is going to be a little different from my usual meal prep videos because today I am not prepping for any meals for the coming week. Instead, I am going to make some easy peasy homemade snackable items that I can keep ready at home. And honestly, the reason behind this snack prep is my son. He is now 3.5 years old and he goes to school every day. And obviously, when kids go to school, they see other kids eating different things. And then when we go outside, he sees other kids having pizzas, burgers, chocolates, chips, etc. And obviously, he wants all of that too. Now, he also does know that eating too much junk food is not good for us. We keep talking about eating healthy food and how too much junk can affect our health, and honestly even this is being taught to him at school, and he is the first one to raise his hands and say that eating junk food will lead you to a hospital and that the doctor will give you an injection. But knowing something and actually completely different things, and every time he asks for something unhealthy, he has this one dialogue: "Amma, I will eat this for the last time." And I am like, how many last times are we going to have? But jokes apart, I don't want to completely restrict him from eating outside food either. So I thought, why not make something easy, tasty snacks at home that he can also enjoy when he feels like munching on something. At least I know what is going into them and I can make them according to our family's preferences. So this is basically going to be a part 1 of my homemade snack prep. I already have a few more ideas planned, so I will be doing it in the part 2. So if you enjoy these kind of realistic homemaking and food prep videos, don't forget to subscribe to my channel because you definitely don't want to miss that. So the first thing that I made was homemade ragi bread, and honestly this was my first time.
2,000 years later.
And I'm really hoping that this turns out well. The reason I actually got inspired to make this bread at home was because the recipe looked surprisingly easy to follow, and the best part, there was no kneading. Now this is exactly the kind of bread recipe I want in my life, because whenever I hear bread making, I imagine myself standing there kneading dough for 20 minutes and questioning all my life decisions. So when I saw that recipe that did not involve all of that, I was like, okay, I am trying this. So I was just following the recipe, mixing everything together, getting the dough ready, and now the dough needs some time to proof. So by that time, I thought that I'll prepare something else, because apparently once I enter the kitchen, I have no concept of making just one thing. So next I am just preparing this simple homemade ghee cake, and for this I am using just half a cup or even less of maida and remaining 1 cup of whole wheat flour. Now you can obviously adjust the ratios according to your preferences. If you want, you can use more of wheat flour, or you can either make it using maida. I'm just trying to make a version that is slightly more wholesome but still tastes like an actual cake. Because let's be honest, if the cake tastes like cardboard, nobody is going to eat it just because it's healthy. And the best part of this cake is obviously the ghee. I'm using homemade ghee, which makes the cake so much more rich and flavorful. So I'm going to get this batter ready and pour it into my cake tin, and while it goes into the oven, let's make one of my favorite quick snacks. So I have put the cake into a preheated oven for about 40 minutes. I'll allow it to bake, and while the cake is baking, let's make some homemade nutty chocolate. I made this actually the last time and it disappeared in no time. I barely got to enjoy it before everyone at home finished it. So obviously I had to make it again. But this time I am going to add a little bit of something which I will show you in some time. So here I'm taking a lot of nuts. I've taken almonds, cashews. You can even add pistachios or hazelnuts, any nuts of your choice. You can even add some seeds. And now I'm just taking, on a double boiler, I've put 3 tablespoons of ghee, and now I'm adding jaggery to it. You can also add sugar or any sweetener of your choice, and now I'm going to add a little bit of unsweetened cocoa powder to make the homemade chocolate. I feel nutty chocolates are so much yummier than the plain chocolates. So I'm just adding my nut mixture and combining everything really well. Now for the secret ingredient that I was talking about is peanut butter. Because why not? Chocolate plus nuts and peanut butter, how can that go wrong? So I'm just adding a little bit of peanut butter. Yeah, if you want, you can also add almond butter or any other butter of your choice, but I'm just adding peanut butter because I have that. Now ideally you can use chocolate molds for this, but obviously I don't have any molds right now, so I'm just spreading the chocolate mixture over some parchment paper and letting it to set. I think I definitely need to buy some chocolate molds now, because if I am going to keep making this, I might as well make it look a little prettier. But honestly, presentation is not really the priority here. Getting the chocolate into my kids' tummies is. So I am going to keep this aside to set in the fridge, and while that is sitting in the fridge to get set, let's do something else. Now it's time to check on our bread dough, and look at that, it has actually proved really well. I'm honestly quite surprised because I had absolutely no idea what to expect. This is the part where I really am hoping all my excitement doesn't turn into disappointment. I'm just going to transfer the dough into my baking mold and get it ready for baking. Now initially I wanted to make this bread in my air fryer, but unfortunately the mold that I'm using does not fit into my air fryer basket. So air fryer plan cancelled, and now we're going to bake this in my oven. And now there is nothing left to do except to wait. I am genuinely curious to see how this turns out, because this is my very first attempt at homemade bread, and that too ragi. So let's wait till the end and see if I actually made bread or something that looks at least like bread. Now the chocolates are also set, and now I'm just going to take them off because demolding is not a question here. These look perfectly set. And now I'm going to make something while the bread is cooking, rather baking. I'm just going to make something really easy, which is my Pudina flavored makhana. Now if you have watched my previous meal prep videos, you already know that I almost always have green chutney sitting in my fridge somewhere. It honestly comes handy in for so many things. And today I'm using it to flavor my makhana. Now this is also another thing that I'm going to try for the first time, so let's see how it turns out. I have already roasted the makhana once with some ghee, and now I just added 2 spoons of my homemade green chutney, a little bit of salt, jeera powder and chaat masala, and that's literally it. I just tossed everything really well so that the chutney coats the makhana properly, and I'm going to put this into the air fryer. I absolutely love making snacks like this because they're so quick. You can make a batch and store them, and whenever you feel like munching on something, you have something ready at your home. And honestly, this is exactly what I need right now, because if my son asks me for a snack, I can say, wait, I'll make something, and he is going to look at me like I've committed a crime. So having these things ready definitely makes life easier. And now let's wait for the magic to happen. Now the cake looks really nice and it tastes so good, and honestly it just feels like bakery style cake, or dare I say even better. And what makes me even happier is that I know exactly what went into this. It is made up of pure homemade ghee, and there's no dalda or shortening in it. So I'm eating my cake with absolutely no guilt. Okay, maybe a little guilt, but mostly happiness. And now let's talk about the makhana. These turned out so nice, crispy and very nicely pudina flavored. How can I forget about the star of today's video, the ragi bread? Guys, I am genuinely surprised it turned out so well. I honestly wasn't expecting it to come out this good, especially because this was my very first time making bread at home. The texture looks really good and it actually feels like proper homemade bread. So now I know this is definitely going to become a regular thing in my kitchen. And finally we have everything ready. But I do still have few more snack ideas that I want to try, so definitely there will be a part 2. Hopefully having these homemade options ready will make it a little easier to handle those. Amma, I'll eat junk food for the last time moments, and honestly I'm not trying to completely eliminate outside food. So this was all from my today's snack prep. If you enjoyed the video, do like, share and subscribe to my channel. And for part 2, stay tuned. I will see you in my next video. Until then, take care. Bye.